Hello everyone, this is Johannes.
And this is Sunniva.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are taking a look at Windmill Valley.
This is a new game from Don Garcia, published by Board and Dice.
It plays from 1 to 4 players in 45 to 90 minutes.
Yay, let's talk about Windmill Valley. This is a review copy of the game, so you know that before we go into everything else. Danny Garcia basically came out of nowhere last year with Barcelona, which was a game we really loved.
Yes.
And then he had Arborea, which was also a good game, and now it's Windmill Valley, which is the newest game from the designer. We know there's more games coming along the year, which we are excited about, but today we are talking about Windmill Valley. As always, we're doing a brief overview before we go into all the other stuff. In Windmill Valley, you are in a valley and it's empty of windmills. So you're trying to build windmills in the valley and also get tulips of different colors to grow on your patches over here on the player board that Sunniva is bringing into view. The whole game is based around this wheel that you are using as an action selection mechanism. On your turn, you're going to move this a amount of spaces, and then you're going to do one of the actions on one of the sides. You can upgrade your board so that later on you could do both actions, both this and this action when you get to it. And that's how the game works. You are going to go around every time somebody goes a full round on this wheel. You're going to move on the calendar track, and when a person gets to the end of the calendar track, the game is going to end. What you're doing in the game is basically a few things. You are getting these tulips, you are putting them in, you are growing them, or what is it called? Like putting them into the ground. I don't know what is it called in English. You're doing the thing with the plants that puts them from your hands and into the ground.
Yes.
Yes, that's the best way to say it in English. I don't think they have a word for it. They had to say that.
Yes.
Do you want to go outside and take the plants in your hands and put them in the ground?
Yes.
That's what you're supposed to do. You're planting these rows of tulips, trying to score the most points by having the same color in this way in the rows and different colors in the columns. That is basically one of the main points you're getting points. You're also going to get these helpers that will help you out with doing different special bonuses for different actions, and you can get contracts, placing them under here to then score more victory points at the end of the game. You have the water level that will rise and fall throughout the game, and that also tells you how many spaces you are to, how many rotations basically you are to do with your wheel before you start your turn. And that is basically what you're going to do. You're going to try to do that the best way possible, upgrade your actions, make combos so that you will be the master of the Valley of the Windmills. And that's the way the game works. Let's talk about other stuff. For example, artwork and components, which are things we usually talk about. So let's also do it today.
Yeah, I think the production quality is top-notch in this game. It is vibrant and colorful with big and clear symbols in the game. And the quality is good as well. I like the double layer player boards, which makes it really easy to tuck the cards and also has a placeholder for your windmills. So I think this is a great production.
I agree. I remember when I saw this board for the first time, it's kind of weird, but it looks like a lighter game.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's big, it's colorful, and it is a lighter game, so it makes sense. This would have surprised me if this was like a heavy. It isn't beige enough.
Like luring you in like Flower, for example.
Go and be like, oh, this is nice.
This is nice and cozy.
Hitting you right in the face. That actually hurt quite a bit. But let's go into other stuff. Like, is there a rulebook?
Yes,
you ask, and I answer you. There is a rulebook. It looks like this. It is 19 pages long. It has nothing on the back, which usually I'm not a fan of, but it wasn't a problem here. It's a good rulebook. It has a lot of pictures, easy to follow along. There isn't really that many pages of actual rules. There's like 2, 4, 6, 7 pages of rules, which is a great amount of pages. It's not too many, not
it's
too
my
few.
favorite amount of pages.
7 is a good number. And then we have the appendix, which basically answers everything you want to know about all the cards and abilities in the game, which is great. So I'm going to give this rulebook, a windmill, and 4 tulips up in the air.
You also have a nice player aid. It explains all of the actions on one side and the turn structure on the other side. So I think this is also great for the first time you play this game.
Yes, because after that, for us, we didn't need it.
No,
Because,
but I like that we have the opportunity to use it.
Yes, because the game is
always like player aids.
straightforward. So, did you play the game?
Yes, we played it with 2 and 4 players, and it has taken us between 1 and 2 hours.
How do you feel about the playtime for Windmill Valley?
I think it when it's down to like 1 hour, like the box says, 45 to 90 minutes. I think that is a great playtime for this game. Any longer than that, I think it's a little too long.
Yeah, but an hour was 2 players, which was nice.
Yeah.
And then with 4, but 2 of them haven't played it before.
Yes.
So that was 2 hours. I don't think that's going to be a problem to get down. So if you play it with 4 and you play it with the same group, it's not going to be a problem to get it down to that 90-minute time frame, I feel like.
I agree.
Let's talk about the game. There's many things that we need to get through. Let's start with the kind of action selection. So Noah, how do you like this part of the game? Is this your least favorite part of the game?
I think this is my favorite part of the game, actually. I think that was interesting to see how you will plan your future turns based on the layout of your wheel, because this is the same for all players, obviously, but these are in the different order for all the players. So if I'm going for a strategy where I've got a lot of these cards, I might plan my turn so that I know how many spaces I will need to rotate my wheel to optimize that strategy.
And this is cool, but it's cool because you get to upgrade your actions.
Yes.
And in the beginning, these aren't as fun actions, so it felt for us that you were obviously to take the better upgrades, because these we almost never use because they're boring, and you take the better upgrades and you put them in here so that next time I can now do 2 actions on my turn, which is better than doing 1 action on my turn, and it's better than upgrading this until so I get 1 coin when I do the windmill action now. You could also then do this if you want to do like a windmill strategy, and then you get 1 action you're not going to do, because you're not going to do all the actions in the game many times. So I feel like this is the fun part. And let's go like a little bit into a couple of things. We're going to talk more about all the things. So one thing I have to say, which is going to be the basis for the whole rest of this review, is that this is a light game.
Yeah.
This is and I'm not saying it's a light game, it's not a gateway game, but it's for a board and dice game, it's very light. And for us, it's pretty light. Like it is. And so before we talk about everything else, know that, because this is not a bad game. I'm going to say that it's a fun game, but it's too light.
Yeah, it would be even more fun for us.
Funner.
If it was more tight for us, we'll like that. That gets us coming back for more when we don't get to do everything that we want to. We're just like, oh, next time I'm going to do this. So we didn't get that feeling in this game.
No, because it's pretty light, and as I said, it's not tight. So that means that if you are a person, and I think it's going to be different for persons, because persons and brains and gamers are different. But if you are a person who is usually decent or good at optimizing things when you play games, you might just do the whole thing when you play the game. Because like when we played, and this is not like a humble brag of being like we are so good at board games, but we play a lot of board games, and we really enjoy the optimization part of board games. So we did everything.
Yeah, but you could be in a position where you couldn't do everything, because this wheel is also triggering the end of the game, which I think is interesting, because we have played with ourselves and groups where we are just moving 1 or 2 in a round, but you can also rise the water level a lot of up.
A lot of up,
and also use this thing called tools to really, like, for example, you can move 4 of these steps on a turn, and then it ends the game for all players when you've gotten this red thingy all the way around 4 times.
So the big question then is why?
Well,
because I think the main reason to do that is if you don't like the game.
No, if you don't like the actions in between to get to the actions that work for your main strategy. But other than that, I agree. You probably are going to move slower because you get to do a lot of things that way.
I felt that I was most of the time doing 1 or 2 moves. Because there would be an action I wanted to do. But of course, if somebody started doing 3 or 4 turns, the other players might wanted to do that as well. But it hasn't happened, so that also might, of course, if everybody does that, you're going to get to do less stuff, and you're not going to get to maximize everything. But when we try to do the best for ourselves, I'm not trying to blocking you by doing a suboptimal turn for me doesn't sound fun as well.
No.
You mentioned the water level, so let's talk a bit about that because that sounded like it was going to be a big part of the game. Like it was going to be, this is thematic, and it makes sense thematically because I don't know, because I don't do a lot of theme, but basically the water levels had to do with the windmills, how much they turned, how fast they turned, but then the water level would rise, and we had to put it down. I don't think we put down the water level, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So basically this dictates how many turns you're turning this, and as you said, you could use tools as well. But I think we got up there maybe never in the games we played, maybe once.
Maybe once.
Maybe never. Because when I'm here, I can pay a coin to go up there, I get a point, and I can move 2 times. But then the next player can just put it down again, and that doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
So then you can move 1 again. But if it's here or here in the beginning, this is going to move upwards, and then if it's up here, which never happened, then it can't go any higher. This was never a problem. And as I said, some groups might be in a position where everybody wants to move 2 all the time, and then it's gonna move upwards. But then again, it's probably not, because so many things give you this action which lets you put it down again. And not just these, but other places here and there is going to let you do that. So it was never a problem. Even though sometimes it raised up, it was just going to get put down again. And there is some points to be getting here, but most of the time it's felt like a way to get coins, because coins was the only kind of tight-ish part of the game.
Yeah.
Getting enough coins, some depending on the upgrades you got and depending on the strategy. So sometimes you needed coins, so just doing this, and you can even do it when it's on the bottom, which just shows you how not tight the game is.
Yes.
Because in other games, it would be like, oh, it's on the bottom, you're not getting anything. So then it would have probably been, oh, I'm going to do this then, so on my turn I can put it down again to get those coins I needed, but you don't even need to do that, which then makes it even less tight. So this part of the game, for me, felt like it's there.
Yeah, it felt really much more insignificant than I would assume when I heard the rules. And also the max level here, then you can't move fast anymore, is also game's way of saying, okay, you can't rush that much.
Yeah.
And also this action, this wheel is full of this, put the water level down, which is basically, when it's down here, a nice way to get coins, which, as you said, is sometimes pretty tight. But this action always felt suboptimal to me.
Yes, yeah.
That is why in our place, people have always been spamming this wheel with these cool bonuses, so that you get to do the main action, which is better here, but also get bonuses in this wheel.
Yeah, and it's costing 2 coins. In the beginning, I was like, okay, is that a lot? And then the first time I played, no, it's not, because we're gonna just buy this, which is the most. And we're never going to buy the boring ones. Let's take a look just at the player board there. Because the player board is where you will then plant. That's the name. Plant. You do have a word for it in English.
Oh,
plant.
It's the same word that we use in Norwegian.
Yes, it is actually just one letter difference. Plant your tulips down here. And you are trying to, when I place this windmill, at the end of the game now, I'm going to get a point for each white tulip I have planted. So you might think, oh, I'm going to spam my whole board with white, but I don't want to do that, because you want to have 1 row with that color and not more, because if you have the same color in 2 rows, you're going to get negative points up here. So you want to have different. You're going to basically, what you're going to do is that you're going to choose 4 colors of the 5, and you're going to get as many as you can, up to 7 of each of them, and place them.
Yeah.
And when we played last time, like the other time we played as well, you had like a few spaces left, and the last time we played, we ended up having like 1 space left. So we had planted the whole thing. We had all of the cards, the contracts, all of the helpers. I had like 1 space on these 2 that wasn't filled with this, and you had placed almost every single one of your windmills. As we said, it's kind of easy to do everything. Let's talk a bit about these helpers and the contracts. The helpers are fun. They give you like a small different bonus. For example, this one, whenever I get a new person, I'm going to get to plant 1 thing. Or you can have them as contracts. And I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Does these contracts feel like all of them are balanced?
No, I don't feel like every of the contract are just as good as each other. And you have some examples for that.
I do.
Ready?
Yes. For example, this card, I'm going to let this card has, if you have a row of, fully row of red tulips, you're going to score 10 points. 10 points, pretty good.
That's
And
good.
you're going to get 2 points for the row as well.
That's really nice.
But then you also have this card, which gives you 2 points for each red tulip. So that means if I fill up a row with this, it's going to be 14 points. And 14 points is more than 10.
Yeah, and also if you don't get to fill it up, it's still like 12 points, but this is 0.
Yes.
That is worse.
So it's like if I only get 5 of them, I'm still going to get to 10 points.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's just worse. I don't, if I'm not misunderstanding something completely about this game, then it's worse. Also, as we said, this wheel, I'm not going to want to have this, and upgrading it is pretty simple. So this contract that gives me 15 points for just filling this out feels for us like something like, oh, that's just 15 points.
Yeah.
You're going to get those because you're going to fill up this with this. And it's not like, yeah, if you're not playing a game where you rush and you, oh, I'm only getting to upgrade 2 things, which of course, somebody might play that way, but that's going to, of course, change the game completely in that regard. And it's not like you might say, oh, but just rush the game then, so you don't get to do everything. But why?
Yeah.
If I have to then rush the game, so I personally don't get to do all the things, that seems weird. But yeah, it might be that you have to rush it for that to happen, and that is fine. I think the last thing we're going to talk about is the replayability, and there are a few, like there's a few small variable things. There's a different scoring contract up here that everybody tries to rush for, and then there is a different like special ability to start with. But other than that, the game is going to be pretty static. So it's going to be, of course, you're going to have like a little bit of different, you go for a little bit of different strategy. You can go heavily for putting out the windmills. But as we said, if you are good at maximizing, you might just be able to do all the things. And then when I play again, I'm like, I'm going to do the same thing now.
Yeah, this feels like I like those games where you're doing a little bit of everything, but you have some things that you focus on, and it feels kind of like that in this game as well. But as you said, like the puzzle here, you want 4 colors and you want to fill them like each row
as much
with
as possible, yeah,
and you want to have the matching windmills to get the most points for that. It feels like, okay, I'm doing the same puzzle ultimately again and again, but how many times I do the planting action and how many times I put out a windmill, that will differ. I've played games where I put out all my windmills, and I have had games where I put out just 1 or 2, and I think if the game was tighter, that would be more enticing to me. But as it is right now, I don't feel it like it's enough variability for me to come back to it.
But this is going straight into the wait and who is it for?
Yes, it is.
Because this is a light medium game. I'm gonna call it like in the lighter end of medium.
Yeah.
Because the actions are pretty straightforward. The rulebook is good. The gameplay is pretty short. It's not that many. Like there's some combos here and there and stuff happening. But it's not like, and nothing you're going to do is super complicated. I'm going to say this is going to be probably better for more casual gamers. If you are into lighter games, I think you will like this because it's a pleasant game. I enjoyed this game. I liked playing it. I had fun playing it. But as I said, like if your brain likes to optimize things and do the best you can and everything, I think you might find yourself doing a lot of stuff in this game, and you might have to like rush everything to be able to not do everything, which kind of is backwards for me. So I feel like this is going to be for more casual people who like to play lighter games. Do you agree with that?
I agree. Like, because I had a lot of fun, even though I got to do a lot of things. Doing a lot of things is also fun.
Yes.
And even though, okay, I get to plant everything that I want, almost, not entirely.
Yeah.
I might be one turn that I don't have money and it wrecks my plan completely. Now I have to do those, let's say, lower the water pressure thingy that I don't want to do. So it's not like it's not only like a walk on the rose. It's not the
tulips.
Thank you.
A walk on the tulips.
So I think there's a lot of fun to be had.
Yes.
If you don't mind that, you might maximize everything.
Yes, you're kind of into your final thoughts.
Yeah.
So let's do those.
Let's do it.
But before that, if you are new to the channel and you enjoy what we do, if this video gave you any value, then you can help us out in a very big way by giving us a victory point.
And we get victory points when you click that subscribe button. You can also click the bell to get notifications every time we post a new video.
Yes, and this is not the end of the video. This is the part of the final thoughts, and you're going to begin the final thoughts because that's how it works.
Yeah, we basically said some final thoughts already. I think it's a fun game, but it is too light for me personally. And now I feel like if I will play it again, there's nothing that I would just like, okay, this time I will try to do that because I haven't done that yet. Or I will try to play this differently. No, I want to maximize the points there, the way that I get the most points. So I think I had fun while I played it, but I don't need to have it in a collection. And I think that I want a game where I struggle more to make ends meet.
Yeah.
I like having a bad time when I play board games. No, but I'm going to give this a 6. I think it's a little above average, but there's so many other games out there that it's more in my ballpark.
Yeah, I think that I had fun when I played the game. And I think that's like, as you said, like it's sometimes fun to just be able to do stuff.
Yes.
And this is fun here because you get to, then I get to do this, and I get to do this, and I get to do this. And the combos are fun. And I enjoyed my times playing it. I basically agree with you. I think that after the plays that we have had now, I'm kind of done with the game. And that's not always like a negative thing because we play so many different games. Like so not all games get up to that point where like, oh, I need to play it more. This was fun. This was not amazing for me, and I think, and as I said before, the game is good. Like as I said, except for some of this feels a bit out of place, doesn't feel so much part of the game, and some of the contracts kind of like this feels better than that. Other than that, like it feels like it's a solid designed game, but just for my taste and your taste, and probably a lot of the people watching this, if you are in the same ballpark as us, it's gonna feel like this is a bit too light. So I'm gonna end at a 6.5. I think it's a great game, or a good game, not great. That's the end, because a great is an 8.
Yes.
It's a good game that I enjoyed, but we're not going to play it again, probably. And that's going to be the end. Thank you so much for watching this. I am Johannes.
I'm Sunniva.
And you, out there in the world, thank you for being there, and thank you for watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye-bye.